Okay, and we're live. I thought I'd just jump straight in.
Yeah, man.
This is a bit like the Joe Rogan podcast.
100%.
Do you feel more masculine?
What? Being in a Joe Rogan podcast?
Yes.
Yeah, 100%. It feels... Is this the podcast then? Is this how it starts?
That's not usually how it starts, no. Usually I say hello and then I ask my guest a question. I suppose I kind of did that.
Yeah.
In a way.
Do I feel more masculine? What, doing this podcast?
Yes, with the image of Joe Rogan in mind.
I'll tell you what. I guess it's a good way to start off a podcast. There's this book called The Four Archetypes of Masculinity. It's not called that, but that's what it's titled by. It's actually called King, Warrior, Magician, Lover. And right now, you could say we are being involved in the magician.
Is the magician the sort of creator?
The magician is sort of I guess you could say the thinker, if that makes sense. The thinker and the persuader and the influencer. It's very, very linked to the lover, which is emotional, which is emotional based. But yeah, it's I haven't read the book in a while, but it's you see, the warrior is about doing. We're not really doing, are we? We're just sat down talking,
Yes.
discussing. The warrior is about doing. So whether you're going to the gym or we're going to work or whatever you're doing, working on your business, writing, whatever you're doing. The king is about order and discipline, and the lover is about managing your emotions in a way that's healthy.
Okay. Your emotions as well as other people's?
That's a good question.
I suppose that's more the king side of things, because you're trying to comfort someone by, like, not ordering, but sort of taking charge of the situation by being like, it's okay.
Yeah, that's what the king does. Yeah, that's what the king does. But here's the thing about the book. I mean, I'll tell you something about the book. Each archetype has a shadow side.
Ooh.
So a dark side to it, a possessive side, a bad side, an evil side.
Yeah.
And this, like for example, with a lover, it would be the possessive lover. The lover is possessed with loving and wants to pick the love, wants to take. Does that make sense?
Like they're always craving the love, the feeling, the emotion of happiness.
Yeah. And here's the thing. Sorry, I'm bouncing around a lot, but
That's okay.
with that with that book, it says that we are not all right in the middle. The goal is to be right in the middle, and not shadow. Obviously, the goal is to be right in the middle between all of them. So not all warrior, not all magician, not all king, not all lover. Does that make sense?
Do certain tasks require more of one, do you think?
Yeah, 100%.
Because I think I'm a magician and lover on the podcast because I'm having to manage anxieties. I suppose I'm a bit of a king as well because I have to make my guest feel comfortable. But then I'm magician because I have to think of the next question.
But you could say you're also warrior as well because you're doing it.
I am, yeah.
You're getting them in here,
That's true.
Getting people in it. So, I mean, obviously, it's just a theory. But I think it's a very successful theory, really. I think it's pretty good. Yeah.
I really like that theory.
But if you want the book, I've got the book.
I would love to have a look at that book. Yes, please. By the way, you might need to move your mic just a little further up towards your
Let me try and bring it.
I think that stand is actually broken.
Oh, no.
It'll be okay.
All right, can you hear me?
I can hear you mighty fine. So
Good. Do I have to speak right in the mic?
no, about like 20 centimeters I think is good.
This should have been done before the podcast.
It probably should have. It's okay. My guests get to hear that this is the Christmas special, so there's no seriousness. It's all jollity.
Don't know about that.
Only serious.
Only seriousness.
These four archetypes, do you know of any other, or is it specifically four?
That is a good question. Those are the man archetypes, the masculine archetypes. Now, I don't know about the female archetypes, but there are the boy archetypes. And the boy archetypes turn into the man archetypes. Does that make sense? Later on in life.
That does make sense.
Like, they would be called different things. For the king, it would be the hero. The boy would be called the hero, not the king. When the hero grows up, he would be a king. Does that make sense?
Because he's a bit childish in the way that I'm the hero.
Yeah,
taking
literally,
charge.
literally. It describes it perfectly in the book. The different ways in which they are. Like for example, with the hero, the drawback is the hero thinks he's invincible. That's one of the things. Obviously, each archetype is very specific, and we're not just one. We're a collection of probably a few. Probably both shadow and normal as well.
Mm-hmm. This relates a lot to, have you heard of red, green, blue and yellow personality types?
No, I haven't, no.
It's very similar. Like, greens are quite passive. I suppose they'd be lover because they manage their emotions, but if someone says something, they won't say anything to conflict. Whereas a red personality type is a bit like Steve Jobs. He'll dominate the conversation. He'll dominate like the king does.
Yeah. It's each archetype literally looks at everything in a different light completely. Everything in a different light. Like, for example, the warrior looks at women and females as simply objects of sex. Does that make sense?
The warrior does.
The warrior does. The pure warrior. If you're a pure warrior, which obviously is unhealthy, you know.
Yes.
If you're pure anything, it's unhealthy. If you're pure king, pure magician, pure lover, you know, if you're pure warrior, you would look at, for example, you get shit done. Yeah, sure. You know, you get stuff done, you know, but you would look at women simply for objects of sex.
You'd lack the lover side.
You'd lack the lover side.
Happy inside.
Yeah, you would see them as simply the objective in order to be overcome. Like anything else is an objective. Because that's what the warrior looks it as. That's what the warrior sees things as.
That's very dangerous. That's a little scary to think of.
And if it's the exact opposite with if you think about the lover and the warrior are opposites. And same with the magician and king. But it's because that's what it is. One's emotional and one's logical. Two are emotional and two are logical. The ones that are logical would be the king and the warrior. The ones that are emotional would be the lover and the magician. Yeah, that's correct.
Okay.
So
how is the magician more of a emotional?
Because the magician uses emotional language and persuasion in order to build up what he's saying, if that makes sense. Because with the magician is somewhat of an influencer, if that makes sense. Very close to the king, but it's different. I might have trouble trying to explain it because I haven't read the book in ages. But
that's okay. Have you read the full book?
I've got to the lover, and that's that. I haven't gotten past the lover.
Okay, that's understand. Is the lover like later on?
Yeah, it literally
wonderful.
goes. Literally, there's different sections, and it gives examples. So it's like king, example of a king, actual examples of kings.
Like real life people.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Kings.
And how you can access that within yourself, which is really cool.
Yeah.
And then same with warrior, how you can access that within yourself. Same with magician, and same with lover. But yeah, they both have shadow sides, and you can lack them as well. And there's consequences for lacking them too. I think overall, if you think about it, the book is very logical itself, the whole book, because it's all about trying to put something in a box, if that makes sense. Like you're this, a little bit of that. Does that make sense? It's kind of. I think the whole nature of it is logical, but that's okay. You know,
of course, that's one of the great ways that we use our sort of warrior and king sides to make sense, so that we can apply our lover and magician, so we can help our lover and magician to be wholesome.
It depends. Depends what you are. I think everyone is. I think everyone does make up something, you know, the most of something. You could go through seasons where you're mostly warrior, like what you did, for example, before. You said you were really focused in on something.
Yes.
Remember, your mind was really focused on something.
I was, yeah. I thought I was Steve Jobs. I thought I was going to be the next Steve Jobs.
You see, you could keep that up if you wanted to, but I mean,
I lost lover.
What drawbacks did it have?
Oh, I was an asshole to my friends.
Yeah, yeah. The warrior can be an asshole, man. But yeah, that's literally it. Like, you can be too much of something.
Okay.
And I found that out. I'll tell you what, when I was 15, 16, I felt very warrior. I just literally, I wouldn't really have time for family and that sort of stuff. I would be very logical. I wasn't really appreciating as much as I was, obviously. I wasn't meditating or anything like that. I was literally just going to the gym, working, going to the gym, doing this, doing that. I was doing everything. To be honest, I felt really good. But I did feel like I was either overworking myself or lacking in some way. Mm-hmm.
That's what I felt, totally. I felt great. I felt like I was on this rush, like a drive, like I was... Yeah. Because I did in a McLaren F1. Storming down, but I was missing life.
Yeah.
The little bits that were just flying by. Like, and I couldn't really feel connection. I think that's what I was lacking personally. Did you find that at all?
I guess so, yeah. Yeah, it depends what kind of connection. I felt a good connection with the gym.
Oh, that's something.
I felt a good connection with things that are replaceable. Does that make sense? But not with things that aren't. I didn't feel a good connection with my family that much when I was proper warrior.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't really have time for my older brother that much. I didn't have time for just hanging around with my family and being present.
Yeah.
Or even the idea of meditation. Because I didn't even stumble upon that idea till I was like, 16 or so.
Oh, okay.
I'll tell you what. I'll tell you the first time I meditated.
Sure.
Okay. It was, oh man, it was incredible. I watched a YouTube video and it was talking about how most people can't focus on one thing for longer than like 5 minutes. Mm-hmm. Most people can't focus on one thing for longer than like a few minutes or like a minute or two. And I took that as a challenge. I was like, because I was like really worried. I was like, shit, man, I'm gonna fucking do this. I'm gonna do this, and I did. And I felt really amazing. I sort of forced myself to focus, and I felt incredible. And I don't think I can ever top that to this day.
You can.
I don't think I can.
I don't think I could. My like little phase. It's like something.
Yeah.
Was there anything that triggered you when you went into that phase?
What?
The warrior phase of like being totally motivated and.
I guess so. Yeah. It was. I went in there with sort of the warrior spirit of I'm going to focus on my breath, and that's that. Obviously, forcing it. There's a balance between in meditation. You can do too much or too little, but I just really right in there first time. I just focused literally on my breath. I was controlling my breath as well. I was imagining the color of the air coming in to my lungs and then spreading throughout my body. And if you ever actually inhale and then imagine all the different colors, like all the color of the oxygen, it sort of feels shaky. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever had that before.
I just tried it. I felt quite relaxing. Like it was this relaxation, but I suppose I was focusing on relaxation.
I guess so. But I tried it. I tried it with my little brother, and literally all you do is like, you breathe in and you think of what color oxygen is to you. You know? So like usually it's a bright color. And then as you breathe in, you imagine it spreading throughout your whole body. And it just gives you these shakes. You know what I mean? It feels really good.
That's powerful.
It is.
What color did you imagine? I just imagined like a neon orange type.
That's interesting. I imagined sort of a greenish, sort of light green color. Does that make sense?
I wonder if trying different colors would affect the shakiness. It would impact, or whether it's more the visualization, the thought that something that strong is rushing through you.
Oh.
I wonder if you tried black or white, like pure colors.
I think different colors affect me. Yeah. But I think it's all mental, isn't it? It's all in the mind, I think. But
true. Yeah.
It's a release of something, anyways. I find
definitely some sort of chemical is impacting our body to make us feel more relaxed.
But yeah, if you ever try that, if you've never done that before, all you've got to do is literally just breathe in and imagine the oxygen color, and imagine it hitting all your veins throughout all your body, all your legs and your feet and your hands, and you just get these. You feel kind of shaky, you know. And then you breathe out, and the carbon dioxide is a different color. Usually, it's a darker color. It's like, you know, that's to me, it's a darker color, but it could be whatever to you. Yeah, that's what I found, and that's what I did, and yeah, that was really powerful. Yeah. And I'll never be able to top that, I don't think.
I don't think you would. You know? Just the effect of it, or the
feeling I got from it.
Oh, okay.
The feeling I got from it.
It sounds very much like the sort of thing someone would experience on a drug. Like,
Yeah.
not that I know too much about like the shakiness feel that you'd get from a drug, but
I'll tell you what. I think there is some sort of link. Now, this is going to sound weird, but I think there is some sort of link with the shakiness to orgasm. If that makes sense. Mm-hmm. I really do. I don't know why. It's like a release of feeling. You know what I mean?
That does make sense.
It's kind of interesting.
That's fascinating. That is a very, orgasm's obviously one of the strongest feelings humans can feel, and to be able to get that just through your breath, that's insane.
It's mental though, but it's it's really cool.
I think I can sort of imagine it like this. The shakiness is caused by the intense pleasure in like your muscles, your veins.
Yeah. It's just, I don't know whether you can do it first time or whether you have to practice for it. I think I probably practiced for it. I think I did. But my little brother, I was teaching him and he got it straight away. You know, so I asked him, I was like, did you feel sort of shakiness? Like, yeah, I felt shakiness. And I was like, that's cool, man.
Did you tell him beforehand about the shakiness effect? It just happened.
I was describing it to him. I think that happens with a lot of people. If you really, I think it can happen with anyone. You just sit there and breathe in. And I'm just literally, it's all mental. You just got to imagine the bright oxygen spreading through your body, and then it'll give you shakes. You know, it should do. I think it should, really.
If you've done it right.
I think it's all mental. You know, that's my opinion on it.
I totally agree with you. So much of our body, there are stories of people that have injured themselves or have caught a disease that have been able to fight it off with their minds.
That's really interesting.
And it's like the monks. I was actually looking at, because I'm trying to design a hoodie at the moment, and it's got like the peace logo in the middle, or like the word peace, and then it's going to have like tie-dye blood around it, and then it's going to have photos from riots or violent activities that are designed for peace. And one of those photos, have you seen the photo of the monk cross-legged burning himself?
No.
It's crazy. He's sat in the middle of the street and he's had gasoline poured on him, and I think it was as a form of protest. They light him on fire. And
what for?
I actually read it today. It might have been more specific than this, but I think it was all forms of any oppression. That's why it was so powerful. And you had hundreds of monks gathered around. I may have that wrong, but it was called the Burning Monk. And
Burning Monk.
He used his mental strength to not, like, if you and me were set on fire, we'd run around like, Jesus, we'd burn ourselves on the hob and we'd flinch away. And he had the mental strength to just sit there.
Was he like, he must have been covered in scars and that.
Oh, he died. Yeah.
He died?
Yeah. There's an after photo where he's lying on his back, and it was a sacrifice.
I guess it's what your purpose is, really. It's what your sacrifice is.
Totally, yeah. I suppose we all make those little sacrifices every day.
Death is a big sacrifice.
That's
the ultimate sacrifice, really.
It is.
Giving your life.
Yeah.
Really.
And death.
You can't give any other sacrifice, really. You can't give anything else but your life.
Once that's done, you can't do anything. Yeah.
No.
It's... Well, obviously.
Yeah, 100%, yeah. I tell you what, it reminds me of... I'm not going to compare this man, but it reminds me of Jesus Christ. Do you know how he gave his life? You know what I mean? It reminds me of that. That's a very interesting sort of analogy, I guess.
It is, totally. That is, and it's a sacrifice that's known world over, same as this monk was. And still to this day, we reference him in all sorts of culture, media.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's another sacrifice there that is similar. Like there's sacrifices of status, like not status, I suppose, of public appearance.
What do you mean?
Like if a celebrity intentionally makes themselves look like trash as a form of rebellion. Like, have you seen Joker?
Yeah, kind of.
Okay. In the guy that played Joker, Joaquin Phoenix, for 4 years, or it might have been 3 or 4 years, he acted like he was a hip hop artist on drugs.
That's mental.
Yeah,
that's mental.
Go on talk shows and act like he was on drugs.
See, that's the power of the mind right there. Does that make sense? If you act like it enough, it will happen.
True.
If you put it in your mind enough, it will happen. You know what I mean? That's what I think. If you just literally, if you surround your mind with it, what else can it grow but what you give it?
Yes.
You know.
It can't grow any further than
it can't like
it's like a distortion of your reality around you. And he didn't actually take drugs, I don't think. And he filmed this whole mockumentary of him being a hip hop artist. And then afterwards he was like, "Oh guys, it was all a film. I'm not actually a drug addict."
Really?
That's crazy. It was because do you know Bob Dylan? No, not Bob.
Yeah.
It might have been Walk the Line. Do you know who wrote Walk the Line?
I don't know.
Oh, right.
There's going to be a bunch of older people like you. You should know this.
It might have been Fleetwood Mac, actually. Do you think music comes into the 4 archetypes?
Well, that's a very interesting question. I think music... I don't think music is necessarily logical, if that makes sense. You know, I would definitely argue that it's more emotional. Music,
right?
Is yeah.
So
unless it's there's a purpose to it, but then that would be taken away from the art itself, wouldn't it? Because that's what art is. Art shouldn't be necessarily logical. I don't think. I think art should just evolve as it is. You know, not necessarily have a pre-existing agenda which it must abide by. I don't really think that's necessarily art. I think art is just flows from whatever happens, or it could flow from a stimulus, sure, but yeah, I would say that if it was one of the 4 archetypes, I would say it's lover and magician. Magician would be persuading this idea of whatever you're conveying. The story of the song, whatever it is, and the lover, I guess, would just be the emotion behind it. I'll tell you something really interesting about music, which I discovered. Certain chords make us feel certain ways.
I think I remember you telling me about this ages ago on a long phone call.
It was, yeah, I think I did. It was obviously a chord is how the notes relate to each other, you know. So you can play 3 notes, but if they relate to each other in the same way, wherever on the keyboard, they would still have that same emotion. That makes sense. So if they, I don't know, if you play a note and then have 2 notes in space in between, and play another note, and then 2 notes in between and play another note, that's 3 notes. And they've all got 2 in between. If you play that over here on the low end, and you suddenly go up on the high end and different notes, you still play it and they still have this same relation to each other, the same 2 gaps in between, it would still be the same chord really, but in a different key. It would have the same emotion.
That's fascinating to me.
That's just music, but what I discovered about music is someone said this. Musicians have had the difficult task of transcribing human emotions through voice into music, into notes. Does that make sense?
Human
emotions.
No way. Into notes.
How we talk when we feel a certain way. They've literally had this pursuit of transcribing the same notes and the same sort of sounds that humans make in these situations on the piano or on the guitar or on whatever instrument it is, you know.
So they must have just recorded people and then listened to them speak back. That is insane.
It's mental, isn't it? But it's old though. They don't have, I mean, obviously music's old, you know, but it's, you know, when you're worried, you know, you sort of talk like this, and you know, it goes high and then low, and there's the notes relate to each other in a certain way. I mean, you're angry, it's sort of it's a different, you know.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's like that in rap songs like Eminem. It's very like ba 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 ba. Whereas with sort of like a sadder song like Doomsday by the Architects, do you know that song? It's very souls don't break, they burn. It's like very up and down, and that's how you are when you're emotional and sad.
Yeah, it's a natural expression. That's why I would say it's more emotional. Definitely, music is much more emotional and logical.
Okay.
Even though I'd say it's expressing the logical, whatever it is, the story, which could be logical, where it is, where it's set, all that sort of stuff, into an emotional journey. That makes sense.
Yes. Yeah. What do you think about warriors that listen to music? Surely then they wouldn't be fully, because I'm thinking of, like, when I picture warrior, I'm thinking of a dude at the gym that's hammering it out over and over.
That's a good analogy, actually.
But he puts his headphones on and he listens to some Eminem to hype him up. Then that's tapping in. So that, I suppose that sort of a guy would be Lover as well as... He's tapping into an emotion, but it's not really a happy emotion. It's more an emotion of motivation.
If a man was pure warrior, then it'd be difficult. I don't know. I really don't know what he'd listen to.
Yeah,
I don't have a clue.
Maybe he wouldn't listen to anything. I'm gonna
maybe he wouldn't. Maybe he wouldn't. Maybe he'd just think music's a distraction, and my mission is first. And that's okay to say. You know, that's all right. You got weights down in the corner.
I do. Yes.
That's really cool.
I
came at the right time. I like this. What the heck? Oh, that's a really beautiful draw.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, we've had it for years. It always used to confuse me. Not confuse me, intrigue me. How the little men would. It's had some sort of a magic about it.
Yeah. For your information, it's literally just anyone listening. It's a beautiful blue triangular little draw set. It's about 40 centimeters high. It's really nice.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's really
You're
nice.
the first guest I have ever had on the podcast that has pointed out something of my furniture.
Oh yeah,
and I love it. What other stuff do I have in mind? This is a Christmas podcast. It's allowed to have these things.
Oh yeah. Well, we got your painting on the wall.
And we do.
To my left and your right. It's really nice.
Thank you. You taught me how to paint that.
No, that's you take the credit for that. That's nice. You did that. That's awesome. Are you not putting this one downstairs because it's got the word Alex on it?
I've been trying to actually give it to Alex Bruton, who I keep mentioning on podcasts every now and then, because he's going to come on a podcast at some point, and I'm hoping that if I keep mentioning his name, he'll come on. And
that's how you do it, don't you? Just mention his name.
Exactly.
Like,
it's like dude, manifestation. The law of attraction. Alex Bruton.
Well, whilst you work as well, just like, yeah, man, that's cool. That's cool.
And yeah, he's going to be picking it up at some point, but he needs to buy a frame first. So
that's really nice. I was actually thinking about getting my friend Ed a painting.
Oh,
yeah, he's a really, really nice guy. He really is, and he's really involved in this men's work, and he's read the book of 4 archetypes and that sort of stuff. Yeah,
is he in your men's group? The talk.
Yeah. He introduced me to it.
Oh yes. Yeah. What sort of motivates you to join those talks? Because that's a fascinating concept to me. That's a good question. Join a group of men of all different ages. Like I keep thinking of it. It keeps popping in my mind of like the amount of knowledge and wisdom you must gain.
It doesn't necessarily matter how old or young you are. Obviously, you've got to be of a certain age to be in the group. But what motivates me to be in a group of other men? I would say that's a good question.
Oh, thank you.
A lot. I think it's very useful for a young man to have elders, if that makes sense. An elder?
Yeah.
You know, someone who's older to look up to.
That's common in tribes.
It's also why, 100%. It's also why I think that young men, especially young men, I think, need fathers. They need their fathers. And I've quite a few friends who don't have their dads.
Right.
You know, they're doing okay. They're doing all right for themselves, but they need that encouragement from their father. They need that guidance. Does that make sense?
Do you think they're a little less masculine than those friends of yours with fathers?
Not necessarily. I think they can be very masculine, but I think it's guiding that power, that masculinity, that focus where it needs to be. Does that make sense? Because obviously, masculinity and femininity, they can both become pathological, you know, if they're not guided towards what's good for the person in their best interest.
By the masculinity driving you towards a goal, like, or driving, do you mean like driving your work or your gym? Like,
yeah, it could be, it's simple through encouragement. You know, if a boy's simply raised with his mother, then that's all he knows. All he knows is his mother. He doesn't, and his friends, and his friends are not his father, and his brothers aren't his father if he has any brothers, and his mother isn't his father. His mother's his mother.
Of course.
And it's very difficult, I'd say, for it's very difficult both men and women, but to focus on men. But it's very difficult when they have single parent households. It really is, I'd say, because then they don't have anyone to look up to for advice about these certain things. Because men go through things and women go through things, you know, and they do different things. And if they don't have both sides to encourage them, then it can be quite damaging.
Of course. What do you think about, does the same sort of situation apply to a daughter?
Yeah,
That doesn't have
100%.
a father? Okay.
Yeah, 100%.
Because you need both. So like a man and a woman both need masculine and feminine sides, sort of thing?
Yeah, I'd say that they balance each other out. Like the man could have certain masculine traits, you could say, and the woman could have certain feminine traits. But it doesn't stop the man from having, you know, a handful of feminine energy or whatever. You know, they need to balance each other out. And it doesn't stop the woman from having some masculine energy either. Think about the yin yang. The yin yang is going in on each other, the black and the white. And within the black, there's a small circle of white. And within the white, there's a small circle of black. Right. So it's healthy, really, to have both in a way. You can't be 100%. You can't be 100% masculine.
No, you wouldn't be able to dance, I suppose. You'd stomp around.
It depends what you think masculinity is, how you define it, and it depends on how you define femininity. That's a big question, because I don't know that. Really, I don't really know that, and I don't think many people know that. And I think in today's society, it's getting confusing, men and women, between what makes them feel happy and what gives them purpose, what gives men purpose, what gives women purpose, and what gives them life. Because certain things give men life and certain things give women life and energy and joy. And I think that's been sort of confused in today's world. And I don't think it's healthy. I don't think it's done any good, really.
So like a trans person, like a man that has decided that they are going to be a woman. It depends because there are a lot of people, and I'm not just saying this of opinion, I've seen it online, I heard it on another, I can't remember the guest's name, but there are a lot of people that may start going into trans territory, like a man or a woman, let's say, wanting to be a man, because they've started telling people, and then the people are like, wow, yeah, we encourage that. And maybe these people didn't get as much attention from other places. They've got their head dyed, they've got piercings, and then they've told these people that they're a man inside, and so they get the encouragement, they get the positive appreciation that they didn't get before, and they get the surgery, they get their breasts removed, and then like there are cases of this happening where they regret it and they realize that's not what I wanted. I wanted the love.
100%.
But then there are cases of people that from birth felt that they were men inside.
Yeah. I think that's always been a thing. I think it's always been a thing. You know. But I do think there are consequences for the confusion of men and women. I really do. I think there are big consequences, and I don't think it's healthy, because we need to cater for the best interests of both men and women, and treating them as the same. Not obviously you treat them equally. You give them equal opportunities and everything, and you say you can do whatever you want. Here's opportunity. It's up to you to decide what you want to do. But obviously, men and women have chosen different paths in terms of work, in terms of interest, hobbies, and they do as they please. And that's good. That's fine.
There are certain places where it doesn't really apply though, like sports and such. Like I totally agree with you that workplaces, like being a lawyer, man and a woman job, easily, 100%. But for weightlifting, a man's body quite literally has the hormones, builds up the muscles, bigger.
Yeah.
Scientifically proven to be able to deadlift or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I think there are certain things that men are generally better at doing, and certain things that women are generally much better at doing as well. And that's okay. I think that's okay, and I think that should be embraced by society, not shunned or called it oppressed. Does that make sense?
Yes, totally, yeah.
Because then that would be like dimming the light of the other person just because your light is different. Does that make sense? You look at, it's yeah. That's it, really.
Yeah, it's ignorance is bliss. Once you say, I'm not listening to you, like it's just blocking, like you said.
Yeah.
Their light, it could be beautiful, and it could actually...
That's the thing. Here's the thing, what I was going to say, yeah. I don't think women today, young women, appreciate their own femininity. I really don't think they do. I think they look at masculinity, and they look at chasing a career, and they look at this, it's silly, chasing a career and making money and being masculine. They look at that, not all of them obviously, but there are quite a few women who look at that and they get jealous and they think, oh, look at what everything men have. And they forget their own beauty. They forget their own...
Do you think men do the same though? Like they go after this career, they go after money.
Possibly, yeah.
Forget that they're
possibly.
handsome.
They could. I'd say right now though, it's much more flipped in the direction of women getting dick envy. I would say. They get envious at some,
But what do you mean by dick envy?
Dick envy. Jealous of masculine energy, I suppose, but they don't realise their own beauty of feminine energy. So, feminine energy is unique, and it's beautiful, and it really, really has so much to offer. Like
100%, yeah.
I don't think women today are encouraged to look after their own children. They're more encouraged into careers. They're more encouraged into making, building a business and to take on all these sorts of things. And I think that stresses them out. And I do. I think when a woman feels ready for a family, I do believe that a lot of them feel like that's a bad thing. They shouldn't be ready for a family. That's what I believe. That's what I've seen. That's what I've seen. A lot of women don't want to say that they want to look after children and they want to be caring, because society's told them otherwise. Society said, well, you should get a job. You should get a job and you should be out there earning your bread, and that's okay if you want to.
Yeah, totally. I think it's like you said. It's if you want to.
If you want to, yeah.
I think there are a lot of women that are headstrong.
There are, yeah.
To be able to chase that career.
If they want to, yeah.
Totally.
If they want to.
Yes.
That's the thing.
I wonder when it started that there was this sort of change, because I think in Egyptian culture, I think the women were higher state, like in terms of how it was in the last like 200 years or so. It's balancing out a bit more. I think women were higher status than men.
Were they?
I think so.
That's interesting.
Like the pharaohs and such, and they were very much in touch with their feminine side, and they wore makeup as the men did also. So maybe they understood the balance, and I think they were quite commanding. Obviously, I haven't gotten the chance to interview a pharaoh, but they had this. They seem to have had this balance between masculinity and femininity, a balance between magician. Please remind me.
Magician, king, warrior, lover.
They seem to have had that balance between the four. I suppose that makes them very strong in who they are.
Well, I think in order to make a society strong,
Okay.
you've got to start with yourself, really. I think that's the main thing. Start with yourself.
100%.
And then you can find a partner who shares in your goals, who shares in what you want to build as well. And you can create a strong family. And then with that strong family, you'll create strong children because they're around that family. They're being brought up into that environment of two strong people.
Yeah.
Who know what they want to do and who are happy doing it. You know.
Of course, when you have this clashing of needs and wants, it can create a harsh divide for the kids in a way.
Especially if you don't have a mother or have a father. Really.
Yeah, like orphans, like in foster homes.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's...
That's where a lot of... I don't know what causes it. I don't know enough about it to make a definite status, but there's a lot of crime that goes on around foster homes.
Is it the foster children or... It's not, is it?
I doubt it. It's more... I'd assume it's more likely the poverty, maybe the pain that comes with not having the parents, feeling of difference, which may lead to drugs. It's a very difficult one because I don't know enough.
Yeah. Well, I think that's why I think a child should have both his mother and his father. Or a mother and a father. They need that both. They need both. And if they don't have both, they're going to grow up and they're going to look for their mother or their father in their partner. And obviously we do that anyways, but it's going to be perverted in that sense. Yeah. It's not going to be normal. It's not going to... We generally look for our parents in our partners anyways. That sounds weird, doesn't it? But we do.
I didn't actually know that, no.
Really?
But
yeah, we do. It's like, generally, if we like our parents, if we are accepting of our parents enough, we don't rebel against our parents. If we don't rebel against our parents completely, then we typically look for our parents and our partners.
Like the traits. Just
the way they are. Not necessarily physicality. Doesn't have to be.
Okay, but it can.
It can be, yeah.
Whoa.
It can be. But it's more personality based, I'd say. Much more personality based. But yeah.
That's fascinating. That really is. It's kind of goes back to that tribal thing. Like in Middle Eastern countries as well, they'd select a partner. And it's the parents that would select the partner for the husband or the wife.
Yeah.
And I wonder if that's where that originated from, because it's mother and father knows best sort of thing. And instinctually inside of us, we want the mother and father knows best, and my partner has these traits. We don't even think about it. We don't think, it would be weird to, like you said, a bit perverted.
Yeah, it's totally weird. It'd be totally weird to do that, wouldn't it, really?
It would.
To actually look at your girlfriend or your boyfriend and think, shit, he's like my dad. Or shit, she's like my mum. It's weird to do that. And it is.
Would be.
Obviously, they don't have to look the same. It's not about necessarily physicality. It's not much of it is physicality. It's mainly all about personality, how they are. And here's the thing: when you grow up with no father or no mother, and you don't have an ideal of which partner to look for, if you're a daughter and you grow up without father, or if you're a son and you grow up without a mother, then you don't know what you want. Does that make sense? Instinctually, inside you don't know what you want.
Of course, you haven't had the blueprint. You haven't. Yeah, you don't have these icons. That's fascinating because Steve Jobs was actually an orphan. He,
Really?
yeah, one of the greatest businessmen of the world.
Wow.
But he was adopted, luckily enough, by two incredible people. So maybe those first years of his life, I think he was actually adopted as a baby. I'm not sure. But maybe that initial of not having the parents and wanting that need, and then having the blueprints, drove him to, because he had the blueprints of like how to behave, how to work hard, how to be a good person generally.
What from his parents? What from his adopted parents?
Yes.
Yeah. What's parents?
And then maybe that emptiness of not actually having his own parents, because it was something that always bothered him. Maybe that's what drove him so hard.
Possibly. It's very possible. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Different things drive different people. Different, you know.
For some it can be pain, some it can be goodness.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like you're really into self-discipline.
You think so?
I think so. I feel, because you don't have sugar, you
To be fair,
work out a lot. Yes.
To be fair, I haven't told you, but over the past year or so, I've been having sugar.
Oh no, how could you?
I've been having sugar. I don't have it in my cup of tea, but I do have sugar.
Okay.
But
oh no.
it's because I'm trying to gain weight. I'm
Okay.
trying to gain muscle. I'm trying to gain weight, and that's the only way to gain weight is to eat more.
Yeah.
Simply eat more food.
Of course. Yeah.
I've been really interested with the idea of fasting,
Like intermittent.
intermittent fasting, or fasting for a day or 2, 3 days. But what the problem with that is you'll lose weight.
Yeah, of
So it
course.
goes opposite to what I want. I want to be,
What interests you with the fasting? Is it the discipline?
what interests me is the fact that it's like an initiation. That makes sense. Initiation into strength. You know.
Ooh, like knowing in yourself, I can do 3 days of no food.
Or, yeah. See, we talk about tribes. Tribes used to do this to their young men anyways. Tribes used to do this to their boys to make them become men. They used to put them through tests. They used to take them away from their mother, which is what they do,
Yeah.
and basically haze them. So sort of kind of humiliate them in a way and make them vulnerable so they can, and literally strip them of their ego.
Right.
So they can grow from a point where they are mature, if that makes sense.
Totally. Yeah, because it's the suffering in life that teaches us lessons. So they force that suffering on the child.
Yeah. And then they grow out of it, and then they're strong. And I think one of them was I think one of the initiations sort of is fasting. We don't really have, here's the thing, we don't really have these sort of things anymore.
No. They do in Turkey. They
Really?
have,
That's awesome.
is it, what is the name of it? The Ramazan, I think it is. Ramazan Bayramı, where you fast for a month.
A month?
Not, it's
Well, you don't
certain
eat for 4
times
days.
in the morning. I think it's 12 o'clock to 5 o'clock. Oh no, like between 3 and 5 o'clock, something like that. Early morning that you're allowed to eat, and then the whole day no food, no water.
Really? No water either. Is that just for the young men, or?
That's, yeah, it's, you can do it if you're older, but of course if it threatens your health, if you're a young man as well, you have some sort of health condition, you don't have to. It's a very religious thing.
Yeah. Have you done it?
I've never actually done it, no.
Ooh,
I
that'd be
think I should
interesting.
try, but I'm so skinny as is. I eat so much food.
I think, yeah. I mean, I think what we do, I thought about this the other day, I thought, we have no means of an elder to force us to become stronger men. If that makes sense. Does that make sense? Because what they do is an elder or elders or group of older, more experienced men would come along and make the boy or the boys into men through challenge, through initiation, through certain tasks that they had to do, you know. And I think because we don't have that today, I think we sort of do that ourselves. Does that make sense?
What, we make ourselves struggle?
Yeah, in a way. Like, for example, like, think of the no-fap movement. You know, young men have gotten into this idea of, oh shit, too much pleasure. We need to initiate ourselves into something. So where it used, and even cold showers and stuff, men started doing that. PMO, no porn, no orgasm, no masturbation, none of that. That's in there too. And fasting is one of them as well. And I think there's probably a few more, but these are challenges, which I think young men really do participate more of it than women. I think young men definitely participate in this more than women. Obviously, masturbation, that.
Yeah.
But fasting and such, I think young men do that typically much more. But from my analysis, it looks like because we don't have that guiding force to force us to become stronger, we sort of bring it on ourselves, you know.
Totally. I never thought of it like that. It is a form of discipline and harshness, because like the cold showers is quite an unpleasant experience. I try to do it the day I work out, but apart from that, it's warm, pleasant showers for me.
Yeah. To be fair, I always take cold showers unless I've been in the sea or something.
Even when you're like when you initially get in the shower, it's cold. Wow.
Freezing cold, right away.
What I thought with that though, does it not close the? Well, you have very clear skin, so I'd assume not. Does it not close the pores?
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
I thought about that, but it doesn't, because I feel squeaky clean after anyways.
Oh,
so that's
okay.
fine. I've thought about that, and that thought's tempted me to think, chuck it on cold. No, chuck it on warm. Yeah. Let's chuck it on warm for a bit. Open them pores up so it can really wash the pores. But no, it doesn't. Oh. So it's fine.
Okay.
But if you think about it, that's what our ancestors did anyways.
Yeah, they
wash with cold water.
Stream or a waterfall.
You know, I tell you what, hot water is such it's a miracle to have hot water that's clean that we can wash in. Does that make sense?
Totally, yeah. We don't appreciate it enough.
Seriously, like, it's literally only been a few decades that almost every household has hot water, running water, plumbing that we can just use, and it's clean and you can drink it if you want to.
That's
and
true.
It's there. You know.
You don't have to be rich.
No, you don't have to be rich or wealthy. You can run a bath of hot water any time, and you can wash yourself any time. And you know, before it was just cold water. I don't know how they collected or got water from a well. Maybe, I don't know, but it was, you know.
Yeah, I don't know how they would have done it before. I know that people in the Congo and such just go down into a muddy puddle and drink it, and because their gut is so strong to dealing with it. But if we did that, we'd be ill.
Throw up, we'd
throw up.
Yeah.
So I suppose as a society, we've also, like, through this pleasure and making ourselves the tip-top healthiest conditions, and like in nature, like these people in the Congo, they don't wash their hands after they do their toiletries.
No.
But they're so healthy. They look like supermodels. Like they're strong, muscular, like ripped to anything.
Yeah.
And with us, we are so accustomed to needing everything clean, and our bodies, I suppose, have become a bit weaker because of it.
Yeah, in a way, yeah, I do. Same with antibiotics as well. I mean, that's definitely a big point of getting used to antibiotics, and suddenly, you know, they don't do anything. You know, it's sort of like that. If you use it too much, then it's pointless. It doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
You know, it's a bit like the guy drinking muddy water, as you say. If he drinks it enough, he will become immune to it. You can make yourself immune to poison. You know?
Oh, you can.
You know what I mean? Just little by little, each day, you can make yourself immune to poison. And same with cold showers. You can make yourself immune to that in a way.
Does it still affect you when you get in a cold shower?
Yeah, it always feels uncomfortable. I'll tell you that. It always feels uncomfortable. But it really helps. It helps start the day off. It gives me energy in the morning.
I need that. Really need that. I've been struggling with that. Like my mom's commenting that I'm yawning around the house. That's not what I want.
Yeah, man, dude, it just kickstart your energy, and it gives you vitality. Does that make sense? It makes you like have more energy, anyways. And
do you have it freezing cold, or is it just
it's
like
like
cold?
ice cold. It's like as cold as it can go.
That's what I do when I do it, and
Yeah,
it's horrible. You do a full 5-minute showers.
Usually I have it in like 2-3 minutes, something like that.
Okay.
You know? But what I used to do is have it on warm, normal warm, have a shower, rinse all the soap off in warm, then do it cold for 2 minutes. That's what I used to do. But now I'm just going straight in cold for 3 minutes. However long a shower takes.
And you don't get spots or anything like that?
No, I use a scrubby thing. You know the scrubby things?
Yes, the little loofah.
Yeah, loofah. Yeah, I find that works. But
I'm definitely going to try that.
apparently that clears your skin up right away. It takes like any heat rashes or anything like that is gone, because you can get rashes from hot water and stuff like that.
Oh,
Your
right.
skin can become like red and all that sort of stuff from hot water. So I guess doing it freezing cold, if you were to, I'll tell you how cold it is. If you put it in a glass, then it'd be condensation on the outside. That's how cold it is. Does that make sense?
That's ridiculously cold. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cold,
Oof.
especially in the winter.
Tomorrow morning, it seems that's what's going to happen to me.
Just give it a go. It's like an initiation for yourself. Does that make sense?
100%. Yeah. You're so motivating to be around. You really,
Oh, cheers, man.
you've got me into the cold showers.
Just give it a go.
The fat pap isn't happening. That I don't do that, by the way.
Really?
Yeah.
What, you don't do no fap, or you do fap?
I do no fap.
Oh, you do?
So as in I don't fap.
That's good. That's really good. I've been sort of on and off with it recently. But I'll tell you what, when I do involve and engage in activity, everything else feels like nothing. It doesn't feel very good.
Well, after you've had a fap.
Yeah. Like at least for a day or 2 or 3. Then after 3 days, 4 days, the purpose comes back in. You see what I'm saying? The purpose comes back into my life. So I think
That's interesting.
what I've fooled myself with, I think a lot of people fool themselves with it as well, so many people fool themselves with it, is the pursuit of pleasure over purpose and meaning, and wanting to really prosper and to feel good, because you feel good when you prosper, and you feel good when you have purpose. See, that's the trick. You think, oh, there's 2 kinds of purpose, and there are 2 kinds of purpose. There's the purpose that you can get right now from eating a chocolate cake, or from laying in bed, which feels kind of nice, yeah, sure, or having a nice warm shower, and being all snug and safe and okay,
We're all good.
all safe and okay, and there's no threat, there's nothing to prepare for, and you feel all nice. And I think society sort of encourages that, and I think
100%. You see it in shops.
Yeah, you're with your, parents don't move out their mother's house, and they're in there and they're nice and snug. Like a few decades ago, it was like mandatory for young men to go into the military. Do you know what I'm saying?
As like an initiation.
Yeah, I think military is probably, I think it's one of the best initiations. I wouldn't recommend staying in there, obviously, but I do think it's a brilliant way to initiate yourself as a young man, because you have the discipline of getting up. You have the discipline of having a drill sergeant telling you what to do. I think that's what it is. They make you vulnerable as a young man. You do what they say. You work very hard. It's a challenge. You separate yourself from your mother, from your family. That's important as well, because that's what young men do. They separate themselves from their family in order to grow. And then they can come back as a stronger man, And I think that's amazing. And I don't think you can do that. You can't do that if you're snug as a bug. You can't do that if you're snuggly up and, you're comfortable.
100%. When I go to university, I feel like, and it's nothing to do with how my parents are. My parents are the loveliest people. They motivate me.
100%.
They're incredible. But it's that being thrown into the world of just the independence, I suppose, the initiation process. The university is not as harsh as the army, but it's still an initiation of some sorts into the real world.
Yeah, it's still away from the home, the family, I tell you what, it gives you energy, and it gives you a sense of purpose and confidence and joy, true joy that's long lasting, not just like pleasure that you just get from a wank or whatever. You know what I mean? True joy. You get true joy and true purpose that lasts when you do these things that challenge you.
Yeah, when you commit to it,
you feel good.
mm.
You know, you feel good, and it's that builds you, and that's what a lot of films are about. That's what I realized.
Mm-hmm.
That's what a lot of films are about.
What, in what way? Like, yeah, they entice you into, oh, have pleasure, it's okay.
No, the complete opposite.
Oh.
The complete opposite. The films are usually about a character. That's what I find, a character going through a journey that's really difficult and it's tough, and he prospers in the end and he wins. Typically, that's what it's about. That's called the hero's journey.
Of course, yeah.
That's the hero's journey.
The stories that grip you and leave you feeling, God damn, that was a lesson.
Yeah, he's done something. And then it's the kind of story that you would kind of look at yourself and think, shit, I should get up and do something. Do you know what I mean? Like, after the film, you're like, oh man, you know.
Of course.
Not all stories like that, obviously, but
No.
there are quite a few. I think a lot of them follow the hero archetype sort of model. You know, they go out into the world, they're stripped of everything, they're struggling, they meet a mentor to teach them how to be, and who's already done that initiation himself. And then he can come back as a stronger person. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You know, and when he's a stronger person, he can share that good, he can share the knowledge with other younger people, he can be a life force for good. That's what's important.
About spreading the message.
Yeah. And he spreads the purpose and he spreads the good, and he comes back with the elixir, which is the all good. He slays the dragon, he comes up with the treasure. If you think about it like that, that's the hero's journey, you know.
And that treasure that he had was probably better than the little coins he was getting from working at this place with the little pleasures. But he's gone through this battle, and he's got the long-term pleasure of a treasure chest of coins or happiness.
I guess so, yeah. Obviously the coins, it's not what you get physically. Obviously it's not what you get physically that matters. It's what you get. It's who you become. That's what it is. It's who you become.
The journey isn't. The journey is the destination, bro. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well.
Yeah, man.
Much like this podcast has been a journey, and a lesson.
It has.
We have passed an hour.
Yeah, I know.
We can carry on talking if you'd like. That would be a first.
What, past an hour?
Yeah. Oof. Jesus, that's what Joe Rogan. I think that's what Joe Rogan does. He starts talking, and then the conversation carries on. He's like,
forget about it. Well, if you have any other questions, anything else on your mind that you want to ask me, or topics of conversation that you want to talk about?
Oh, actually, I do. It's a very simple question, but what do you think about greasy? Is it greasy or dirty gain? Like where you eat fast food, nasty food, like greasy.
Okay.
Like you make your own deep fried chicken or whatever, so that you can gain weight.
I think that it will gain weight. It will give the results you want, sort of. It will put on a lot of fat. However, it will be good for you physically. However, it will be bad for you mentally. That makes sense?
Of course, yeah.
It'll fog your brain, and it won't make you feel the best. Does that make sense?
Yeah, your cholesterol would go up.
Yeah. It's all about, it's because you fog your brain. This is what I thought about, because I want to gain weight, and I'm trying to eat more foods, and I was eating these pizzas. You know, they're cheap and they're simple to eat and they're simple to cook. Yeah. And I was thinking, shit, this is actually doing to me. This is making me sort of numb in the head. Does that make sense?
Really? Effectively, your gut biome, that whole system.
It makes me feel like my brain isn't working to its full capacity.
I think that's what I've been having recently, because when I go to uni, I eat quite a lot of fruit. But down here, I haven't been. I'll drink at least 2 glasses or a glass. Most days 2 glasses of juice. I'll have 2 bananas and 2 apples, a banana, and all those vitamins. But here I haven't been doing that at all. Just eating food, and I haven't been as hungry.
Here's the thing, that's the challenge when you're trying to gain weight. The challenge I find is that you want to gain weight and you want to eat more, but when you eat more, the energy isn't in your head, the energy is in your stomach, and your head is sort of fuzzed out a bit more, depending on the food you eat. You can't eat like 3,000 calories of fruit. That'd be a lot of fruit.
Yeah, a lot of sugar.
That'd be a lot of fruit. Yeah, a lot of sugar as well. But I mean, I guess you could do it. But it'd be very, very difficult.
Yeah, very little carbs. It would fog you away in a different way as well. Because you'd be like, all I'm thinking of kiwis now, like just like that zest.
I guess you could have loads of avocados, but that's all.
That's true.
That's,
fans. Do you know of any fruits that have carbs or veg that have carbs?
I mean,
or potatoes?
Bananas have carbohydrates.
Oh, they do?
Complex carbohydrates. Yeah.
Oh.
That's why they're good. That's why, people with sports use them.
Okay. I might have to get more bananas.
Mm.
Well, on that note of bananas, it has no relating to the ending of a podcast, but...
Yeah, you feel like a banana.
I do feel like a bit of a banana.
That's something downstairs, yeah.
This has been so much fun. Thank you for joining me.
Well, it's been a pleasure.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.